Brent, good to see
So
you, man. How's it going?
I'm all right. How you been? How you been
Yeah,
holding
good, thanks, man. It's been a little while.
on? Know it.
How are things with you guys over there? You all good?
I think so. Sometimes feel like you're spinning your wheels and getting nowhere, but we all feel that way right now. So it's uh it's just the way it is at the moment.
Indeed, and it's an exciting week for you because you've got this new album coming Friday. It's a bit of a different project for you this time, isn't it? So, how are you feeling about it on release week? Are you excited to get it out there? A little bit nervous?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, I feel good. I'm excited for people to hear it.
So, it's got 8 traditional gospel songs on there that I know mean a lot to you personally, and they've been a significant part of your life. So, how much of a sort of cathartic process was this for you to put together? How much did you enjoy it?
Well, it was these songs. Yeah, I grew up with these. They're sort of the Southern Baptists' greatest hits, and hymns, and they've just always uplifted my spirits, and so yeah, I hope that that's what it does for everybody else.
Yeah. So, tell us about the process of choosing songs for this project because listening to a lot of gospel music as you have grown up, there must have been a huge range of songs to choose from. How did you make that decision of the 8 songs?
Well, one, we did these probably more than some of the others, and then my grandfather led the singing at the church that I grew up in, and then when he retired from that, my dad overtook it. And so when I was picking, I had picked some of them, but I would hit my dad up because on Sunday mornings he'll go through the hymnal and pick out what you're going to perform at church that day. And so I sent the list over to him and my sister, and I said, "Okay, here's what I got. What am I missing? What else would should I put on this?" And so they helped a lot with choosing the songs.
And as well as the 8 gospel songs, you've got this one original track on there, "When It's My Time," which is out now, obviously. And you wrote that one with your wife. So tell us a little bit about how that one came together in the writing room, because it's such a nice outlook to have on life, and I think that's the attitude that we should all have.
Well, I was in a wreck in 2020, in July 2020. My son and I were in a pretty serious accident. It could have been a lot worse, but it wasn't. And so that that surely inspired that not really in control of anything in this life. I can only appreciate that I'm here at all, and then also we do a gathering every year, family and friends gathering, and a lot of times my grandmother wants people to stay at her house, and in 2020 it didn't seem like a good idea to put grandma's health at risk, and being the God-fearing Southern lady she is, she feels like, well, when it's her time, she's going to go. There's not a whole lot she can do about it. And nobody stayed at grandma's house, for the record, but my wife and I were just sitting out, on the back porch after we had gotten our kids down to sleep. And just were talking about all of that. And it sort of fell out of the sky. I knew that when I said, when it's my time, I'm going to go. And it just all fell right out.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that terrible incident that happened to you in 2020. How much did that impact this album coming out as a whole? Because it's, like I say, it's a very different album for you. Are you at the point where you're sort of thinking, I'm going to do what I want with my career, whether people like it or not. I'm going to do exactly what I want to do.
Well, I've always done that. And and so it's taken me, probably by doing that, it's taken me 16 years to get to the bottom. I'm just glad to be here. Uh, but if nothing else, it was more than anything. I always knew I wanted to make a gospel album. In the history of country music, that is something that historically artists do, who are country artists. And but then the wreck really influenced me to go ahead and do it. It influenced the timing of it all, and I just thought, well, I should go ahead and do this. I mean, I have another chance.
And you released the video as well for When It's My Time last week, and you got to work with Curtis Wayne, who I know you're a massive fan of. So tell us a little bit about working with Curtis and how that video came together.
Ah, Well, we've worked on a couple other things together, but nothing that was like him designing a whole like music video the way he does. And but we just would, get on the phone and dream and just sort of bounce ideas off of each other and talk about what we loved. And I don't know, it's just a really he's got a special imagination and mind. And yeah, I don't know, it just was a great collaboration.
Yeah. And coming back to the album, you went back into the studio with your cousin Dave after taking a little break for the last album. So how good was it to get back in there with Dave, use his expertise as always, and sort of go back to olden days?
It was great. Dave and I met through his grandmother and his grandmother's funeral. I was a pallbearer in, and so she would come. She was my great aunt. She would come to our church and she would perform "We Shall Rise" and at my church a cappella, and she'd do it with all the fire and brimstone you could imagine. And so our relationship began as sort of through gospel music, and so it was really special to be with him and knowing how much he cares for the same music. And it was meant to be. It had to happen that way.
Yeah, and he's not the only family member on the album as well. You've got your wife, mother, sister, father on the final track, Blessed Be the Tie That Binds. So that must have been a really special moment in the studio. Talk to us about that and getting everybody in for that final moment.
Yeah, it was. So I'm from a really small country church, and most of the congregation is my family. And so it just seemed appropriate and natural to make sure they were included on this album so we could make it feel as much like home as possible.
Yeah. And you've got lots of friends on the album as well, because I saw there was some background vocals on there from likes of Katie Hammer, Candace and East on there. So how did you kind of get those guys involved, and how enthusiastic were they about being involved?
Well, Kaylee and I are from the same hometown, which is wild because it's a very small town. And but she's wonderful, and also might as well be family. I've known her for a long time, and she was available that day. Anderson, again, like family. We were under the same record label for a long time, and we've been friends for many years before that. And he just happened to stumble into the studio that day, and as we were recording in the garden, and he's like, "Oh, that's my favorite gospel song." And so we're like, "Well, you should sing on it." And so it's just all very natural, and it's all family.
That's awesome. Well, we're looking forward to hearing it. And just coming onto touring as well, you were supposed to be in the UK in December with Cadillac 3, and we were so devastated that tour didn't happen because of COVID, obviously. But what are the plans for you? Are you hoping to hop onto that tour when it does get rescheduled, or what's the plan?
I don't think I can make the rescheduled dates with the Cadillac guys. I want to, but there are other things now, and I don't know, man. It's such a hard time to plan anything right now. But hopefully I'll be able to come over in 2023. If the good Lord willing and the creek don't rise.
You've had a lot of support here in the UK, and I know that you've very much enjoyed playing over here. So what is it about coming to the UK that really appeals to you?
I'm sure you've heard this often, but the UK crowd are very they listen, and which is, you don't always get that here in the States. And even people who are massive fans here in the States, they don't all listen quite like y'all do over there. And so it's really special when it happens. It means a lot and very much appreciated. And so it makes you want to do it,
That's what we like to hear. And what's left the rest of this year for you? Have you got a tour planned in the US? Have you got plenty of dates in there? It's obviously so difficult to plan things at the moment, but what's on the agenda?
Yeah, right now I have a complete year full of touring scheduled, and it's all really good stuff. So I hope we're able to continue, and hopefully we're getting over the hill on this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brent, I'm going to let you go, man. Thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate your time as always. Always a pleasure chatting with you. And
thank you for listening. Thanks for caring.
Absolutely, man. And hopefully catch up soon.
Cool. Take care,
brother.
buddy.